Well, here's another video making about Pod Go foot switch replacement. This time my tap tuner switch isn't working so great and doesn't respond. So there are times where I click it to get the tuner and that doesn't work, or I try to do the tempo and it sets it at really low tempo because it's not getting many of the taps that I'm doing. So in the past I've replaced this one over here and fully expect that there'll be more that'll have to be replaced because these switches don't last long. Last video I had gotten replacement parts, official line 6 switch replacement parts. This time I tried something different here. Got a bag of these. There's 120 in there from Amazon, and I think it was about $6, including free shipping with my Prime account. So the line 6 switches from Full Compass were about $3 a piece plus shipping. So this was a pretty good deal, especially since these switches keep needing to be replaced. And we'll just see how well these other switches here from Amazon will work. I believe they're the same kind of switch, same size. That's what these switches look like on the inside. These 4 contacts will need to be soldered in place. Let's go about taking this apart, and in order to do that we'll flip it over, and there are a number of screws that have to be done. I showed this in my first video here, but that screw there and that one over here, over here. These screws will all need to be undone. So I'm going to go do that and come back to you. Okay, so as you can see here, I have this off. And as I've said in a previous video, most of these screws are this size screw. There's a couple of them that are smaller that are on these feet that go in the center. You can see the size difference. Just a little bit smaller screws. They go right here. There's one there, and then there's one right in the center up there. So they sometimes come off with these little feet, or sometimes the feet are stuck. But those are the only 2 screws that are different. And you have, you got to remove one here, over here, there. That's one of the smaller ones. There. One over there. And one over there. There's the other small one is right in this spot. So in addition to that, you have 4 in here that you have to take off. But you don't have to take off. There's like a center screw. There's 4 around here, and there's a center one that stays over here. So this is the switch we're going to have to replace, I believe. If I flip it over here, yeah, that's the tap and the tuner. And so that's right here. In order to get to that, I'm going to have to also undo that screw there, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Because I can get to the solder here, and I could desolder that while it's still screwed in, I guess. But I will need to remove those screws in order to replace the switch. So, in order to desolder, I have a desoldering iron. I've used this before. And the way this works is there's a tip with a, in the center of the tip, there is a hole, and there's like a plunger thing you squeeze down. Once you heat up the solder, you put this right over the center there. So there's the post, you get that heated up. And once that solder is melted, then you push that switch there, and it will pop up this plunger, and it will suck up the solder there. I didn't really get into too many of the details of doing this in the last video I did. I feel like it wasn't so much about how to solder or desolder versus how to, and where to replace the foot switch and how to go about it. But so you can see I've done a couple of those. After each of these times, I'm gonna click my plunger down again. I'm gonna put that right over the center there, heat that up, let go, and then I get rid of the solder that's in there, push the plunger down again, click it into place, heat that up, push the button, and that pulls it up. And it should I just get rid of that into a sponge that's wet, wipe it down, clean it off, and if necessary, this comes with a little cleaner that gets that hole cleaned out. Okay, so now to removing these screws. You can see it cleaned up the solder really nicely. You can see the holes around here, and so that should pull out pretty cleanly because it was able to suck up that solder. Very useful tool. This could be purchased on Amazon as well. If you're going to do this kind of work, I highly recommend it. You could use solder wick. Solder wick is this kind of stuff here that you put it on, heat it up, and it tries to suck up the solder. It doesn't work as easily or as effectively in these kind of cases. I definitely recommend investing in a desoldering iron. Okay, I've removed 8 of these screws. They're all the same size. They're all from this board here. Now that comes off freely. And here is the switch. As you can see, these are not, this is what clicks these switches there, but this will need to come off, and I might need to just there might be still a little bit of solder left in there, so I might need to heat this up again a little bit to get this freed from here. Just go make sure that I'm able to get this freed off of there. I might need to do one side at a time. And try to bend the old contacts a little bit too. Sometimes there's a little bit of, solder on the inside of that's going to make it hard to come out. Let me just try heating it up. Okay, I think that one side is freed up. Just pulling it out from the bottom. So you can see here that I was able to, let's get that in focus there. I was able to get the one side out. And now I'll have to do it with this other side. Those could, I'm just trying to bend these a little bit. Let me heat it up again. There's probably just a little bit of solder there that's still attaching them. Okay, it's getting itself freed here. Oh, I got 3 out of the 4. This one is still holding on a little bit, so just put a little heat on that. Oh, it's coming. There we go. I got it freed out. Okay. So as you can see here, the holes are fairly clean. Most of the solder is gone from it. This is the old switch here, and here's one of the new ones. So side by side, this one stands up a little taller, but I don't think that it's gonna matter much. I think the button is at the same height, but the base is a little bit shorter over here, a little bit taller over there, but it should be fine. Again, this isn't the exact line 6 part. It's a part that was available on Amazon, and I was able to get it delivered pretty quickly. So let's see, just it doesn't matter which direction it goes, it's just that it's either going to go this way or this way, and if that doesn't matter, we just need to push this in so that it lays flush onto the board, just like just like all those others. So once it's laid flush onto the board, then we can flip it over and put some solder on those 4. But I think I'm going to put the screws back on first. I don't think this is going anywhere. You know, it's in there pretty well against there. That way, I'm going to put the screws back on so it doesn't move around while I'm trying to solder it. Get that in focus there. These were torqued pretty tightly on here. Getting them off wasn't super quick or easy. So again, I'm not making this video as a tutorial on how to solder. I'm sure there are better teachers out there about how to solder. But you do want to have a soldering iron that you heat up, and we're going to put a little solder there. I'm going to put it here. And going to melt that on there. You want to make sure that that flows pretty well into there. And then we're just going to go and do that again. You want that solder to flow. There we go. I'm going to just put a little more heat on that. Let it flow better. Okay. That'll do the trick. Yeah. Somebody complained on my last video that I had turned it off when I went to solder and turned the video back on, and they didn't get to see the soldering. Again, I'm not trying to teach people how to solder. I'm trying to teach people how to replace a foot switch. But if you needed to know where to solder, that's where to solder. I would hope that if you're trying this before, you'd at least watch a video or something about best soldering techniques or whatever. I learned how to solder a long time ago in a community college class on electronics, and so it's been a handy skill ever since, and I don't mind sharing some of the knowledge of things I've picked up over the years either. But yeah, just putting it all back together. Remember, just tighten these screws down pretty tight, because those are the ones that have to hold on to this board when you're stomping your pedal down. So they need to be nice and secure. But you don't need to watch me doing all these screws because there's quite a few. Okay, those 8 screws are back in place. I'm going to put this cover back on again. And again, right here is the smaller screws that go through the center feet there. One smaller screw there, and the other smaller screw is in the center right here. And then you have 4 of them that go in over in this hole here. Remember, you don't need to do that center screw. You shouldn't have taken that one out. And you don't need to see the rest of this, but you're going to put all the other screws back. All the other screws are the same size as these, so you don't have to worry about which screws go where. Oh, also, magnetic screwdriver is really helpful in doing this, because when you're going to try to get it down into these holes, having a magnetic tip on the screwdriver will help you direct it in. So, yeah, I having the right tools to do the job helps in these situations. Yeah, that's probably the longest part of this job is all of these different screws that you have to put. You can see I got a little pile there to go. Won't keep you. I'll get them in and we'll turn it on and try out the new switch. Well, I'm just putting in the last of these screws. There were 16 of this size screw all together, 2 of the smaller screws, so 18 to do to take the bottom part of the case off. You don't have to do these screws on those feet there. So those screws you leave in, but that one and that one there are the 2 that are the smaller one is again, and then it's 16. 4 over here, don't do the center one. So 16 of the larger screws to the smaller, and then when you're inside, you had 8 that were on the printed circuit board that had to be undone in order to get to the switch. So that's a whole bunch of screws to undo and redo, but we're ready to give this a try. Okay, now we're going to give this a try, and I'm able to go right into the tuner mode and go back out, and I can tap a pretty quick tempo or a slower tempo. All right, go back into tuner. I believe we are all good. and the Pod Go lives for a longer amount of time now. Yeah, these switches are really common to go, but it's not too hard to fix. Hope you learned something from it and are able to get your Pod Go working again. All right, bye.